Welcome, everybody, to the Dancing Oracle with Najia. I have a really special return guest today, author and channel tomtmoore. And he is going to do an updated video on predictions from Gaia for 2026. And if for any reason you want to see the complete picture of what you may have missed or what we didn't discuss on the previous video, which I will link at the end of this video, he does have a book. Tom, what is the name of your book? Can you show it to everybody?
Sure. It's called Conversations with Gaia, Soul of the Earth. Okay. And
Beautiful title.
we probably need to do a quick recap, um, just to get people sort of pointed in the right direction. Um, Last January 2025, uh, Gaia had told me that if I started seeing a large migration of people away from the West Coast and a large migration in, that uh, would tell me that she had been given the go ahead to have these great earth movements that she'd been putting off for years. Well, of course,
The fires.
the fires were the great migration out, and the migration in will be young souls that will be coming in to try and help rebuild and try their uh, try to get a job on the West Coast for whatever reason.
So that's the good news, that there is a migration in of new souls. A lot of times people, they only hear part of your predictions and
Mhm.
they get all upset because they think everything is doom and gloom, but there's
Well,
only parts. Yeah.
yeah, these people are supposed to undergo the earthquakes,
Yeah.
and that's why they're coming in, because Gaia says that that you have to experience everything that I, meaning Gaia, has to offer in the earth, and earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are part of that. And these souls have never had that experience, even in Atlantean times with the collapse of the continent, or Lemuria, the Mu continent, sinking from war. Um, they didn't get that, and so they've got to experience severe earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, and that's how they're going to check that off their list of things they have to do in the 600 to 800 lives they'll have on Earth.
Yeah, so it's one adventure after another when you come down to earth, and it's
Yeah.
not always easy. But Tom, you know what? I bet there's some people that are joining us for the very first time, and they're not familiar with how you channel your information. How do you
Okay.
receive this
Yeah. I
psychically?
I, I consider myself more of a telepath.
Telepath,
Um,
okay.
yeah, because channeling goes under telepathy. I mean, there's
Okay.
all sorts of telepathy. You've
Okay.
got you've got what are called thought packets, which is what I receive through the pineal gland in the back of my head, and that's where we receive all telepathic thoughts and images and feelings and so on, and even uh, when everyone does tarot readings or pendulum readings, that all comes through the pineal gland, and it works its way down to your hands so that you can give good readings to people who wish to have that. So that's that's what I do. I receive these thought packets. So I'll put myself into a light alternate state. And typically I do these because I feel like I have a heavy responsibility to people, because I'm the only person in the world that takes questions from anyone in the world, and to ask in these in these sessions, and I've probably asked, well, I know I've asked thousands of questions. I've got 900 newsletters that I put out free each week, and that you can sign up for those at www.thegentleWaybook.com, and they're all archived on my website, so you could see where my hits and my misses, and I don't try and claim any more than what's on those pages.
Yes, and I have for all of the viewers who want to research this and join his newsletter, I have all of Tom's full information in my description box right below the video that tells you all about it. So just scroll down past what we're talking about and you'll see all his information right there for everybody. So
Great.
what happened? People wrote to you since our last video on Gaia and you
Oh, yeah.
updates. A lot of people wrote.
Yeah. So I'm getting a lot of questions now. These questions will be in my next newsletter, and I'll compile that tomorrow. I'll send it to my editor in Colorado, and then on Wednesday I typically color the type so that people can tell the difference between what I'm saying, what people write to me, those are in green typically, and and the answers I get from Gaia and my guardian angel Theo and creator of the universe. You can communicate with anyone as long as you take a safeguard, surround yourself with a bubble of white light for protection before you do these sessions, and then just do a breathing exercise. Um, and anybody can do this. I'm not anything real special. I'm just an average person that practice to get these messages.
It's wonderful. Yeah, I see everyone can do this. You just have to cultivate it. And I have a lot of videos on how to do that, teaching psychic development. It's all free because as we move into these new years, this new era, we're all going to upgrade our skills. You see that, Tom, as well? Because I really see it. It,
Yeah,
the
I
veil
mean,
is thinning.
yeah, I'm told that's one day in the future. Um, every single person on Earth will communicate with Creator, and I think that's great. So some people will do it soon, and some people it will take a long time. So you know, don't don't think that you can't do it. Everyone can. Creator says that uh, all you have to do when you put yourself into that light trance like state is to say, I wish to speak to Creator, and Creator will immediately communicate with you. So that's all you have to do. Creator says that uh, Creator can have trillions of conversations going on all at the same time. Um, and all you have to do is just ask, and Creator will respond and answer even the most trivial questions that you might have about life on Earth or whatever. Uh, Creator will answer.
Tom, what was your most pressing questions that came in from the viewers in recent
And
months?
recent, well, gosh, um, everyone is wanting to know more about obviously uh, the coming 2026.
Yeah.
And so I've come up with what I call two sets of markers. Okay. And I just did this in the last week. Hopefully, it'll be in this coming newsletter. Uh, so the first marker I would call it would be in the November, December time period
This of this year.
of this year, 2025, okay, when
Yeah.
when we're supposed to start seeing more 5.0 to 5.3 uh, uh, earthquakes on the North American West Coast. Now, no, we're not talking about anywhere in the world because someone emailed and said, Tom, they just had a huge earthquake in the Philippines, and you said we would only have 5 to 5.3, and so I had to remind them this is just for the North American West Coast from about Tijuana all the way through the Aleutian Islands. So that's going to be sort of the first marker to look for those. Then starting in January, February, and March of 2026 will be the second set of markers, the big ones.
Mm.
So that's when they'll start having 6 to 6.5 earthquakes on the North American West Coast, all up and down, plus lots of aftershocks in the threes, fours, and five. So there's
Wow.
going to be a lot of shaking, but the largest will be 6 to 6.5. A lot of the uh, geologists or uh, those who study the planet, uh, Gaia says will make predictions that yes, there will be a large earthquake, but they will woefully, and that's the word she used, woefully underestimate the intensity of the earthquakes that are coming and the number. Because, uh, and I asked, well, one of the things I went back and asked, well, what about April? You didn't mention anything about April. April will continue this, but she says, and this is her words, she said, the door is closing, meaning if you want to get off the West Coast, you've got to do it by April, or you won't be able to, and you'll have to suffer um, these enormous earthquakes. And there's not going to be just one or two. There's not going to be one in Southern California or one. I've got light shining in. I'll move over here for a minute.
Okay.
Um, there won't be the one earthquake in San Francisco or one earthquake in Vancouver or Washington State. There's going to be a huge number that will last for well over a year,
Wow.
one at another sevens, eights, and nines. Okay. I mean, she says, this has never been seen in modern times. So don't look at, well, this happened, 20 years ago, and there was this one earthquake and some aftershocks, and that was it. That's not going to happen. You're going to see 20 and 30 and maybe 50 of these. And they're
Oh my
going to,
God, that's so many, Tom.
yeah, and they're going to um, create tsunamis, and these tsunamis will race across the Pacific. And you have to understand, there may be a tsunami created by one that is in Los Angeles, and it will take a different direction than, say, a tsunami that uh, starts near Anchorage or a tsunami that starts near Vancouver. They'll all have different directions across the Pacific and running at many of them at 600 miles an hour, and they're going to wipe out the beaches of Hawaii and Japan for sure, and with like 100-foot tsunamis, and then even 30-foot tsunamis as far down as Australia. So
Wow.
we're really talking about some unbelievable Earth events that are coming, and and I the other day I had a lady, one of my readers, emailed me and said, "Gosh, we're in our mid 70s, and you know, what about just staying here and dying?" And
Yeah.
so I went back to her and said, you know, uh, who's to say you're going to die
Yeah, exactly.
quickly? I mean, you may be caught in the rubble of your house,
Yeah, it's
and,
different.
there's nobody to come and save you, and you starve to death.
Oh,
That's not a good way to go. And so if they, if people leave, if they go ahead, one, they learn a life lesson that they can chalk up on their board of life lessons for all their lives on earth, of learning um, to readjust quickly to situations and find a new place to live. And also, they can also uh, put on their checkboard that they can volunteer to help other survivors that are coming. And
Yeah,
the longer it takes for these people to come out of these areas, the worse in shape they're going to be, because they will not just be able to jump. They're going to have to try and hike their way out of these situations that are going to be very dire for them, and it's going to be really difficult.
I know, and we have all these government cutbacks to
Yeah,
help people in these situations at the worst time.
yeah, and Gaia says that um, 200 million people total will lose their lives. Okay. 60 million of those uh, will be from the West Coast alone. 60 million deaths. So,
Wow.
it's up to you if you want to live. You're going to have to make a decision. Hey, if I have to live on a cot, in some basketball arena, better than losing my life to a tsunami or earthquake.
It's really something. I mean, it is hard to, you have to have the perspective. This is not the only life. We never make it out alive, as far as we
Yeah.
know.
No, that's
Nobody
true.
makes it out of
Uh,
alive. We go,
I'd rather go to sleep and not wake up than
yeah, I
to
know.
be in rubble and crying for help and nobody comes.
It is, but you do have a special prayer that you've taught. It's a really special prayer that I have witnessed miracles. Now you can't change a big collective thing that's coming like this, but you can work within your own situation called the most benevolent outcome. Can you tell people about that who are maybe feeling fear right now, what to do?
Now, are you talking about the benevolent prayer, which I call the forgiveness prayer, or are you talking about
Oh
releasing
no, the most
MBO?
benevolent outcome that you would
Okay.
say for yourself.
Right. So one I always recommend, and these are prayers to be said out loud, no matter of your religious beliefs. Okay. Um, say whatever prayers that you say out loud, because they go directly to what people call source. I call creator. I mean, they're really hurt as long as you do it out loud. They don't work as well if you just think it. Okay. So as an example, you might say, I request a most benevolent outcome for the perfect place for me to live.
That's a
And
great one.
that will give you um, the impetus to start looking. Well, hey, I'm living in Los Angeles. Where do I want to where do I want to move to? And you might look at Phoenix or Albuquerque or Las Vegas or the Dallas Fort Worth North. I can say that word, Dallas Fort Worth area. There we go. And
And I guess these are all safe areas so far that you've come up
yeah,
with?
yeah. I mean, even of course they'll have rumbles. Phoenix will
Yeah.
have rumbles. Las Vegas will have rumbles, but they won't be severe like there will be on the West Coast, because Gaia says she's going to take down the whole mountain range around Los Angeles.
Yeah, and you know what, Tom, I was thinking about this. You know, all these places that you're talking about today that would be hit hard,
Hmm.
they all were preceded by wildfires. Of course, California is known for that.
Mhm.
Australia had wildfires. Hawaii, like what is going on with Hawaii having wildfires? So it's almost like a gentle nudge, like, hey, maybe it's
Yeah.
not worth it to live here.
Yeah.
It's
And,
kind of like that.
somebody, right. And Gaia said that 75% of the people that lost their homes in the LA fire will wind up migrating out of California because they can't stay because there's no schools, there's no grocery stores, no banks, and of course, no homes. So the majority of those people, of course, California doesn't want to, the government, I'm sure, doesn't want to say that, oh, we're going to
Yeah,
fix everything, we're going to rebuild everything. But we've all seen with these previous fires
a
that have
lot.
struck communities in California, it takes years. And and these people, I don't think, well, hopefully they won't wait that long. They will move out of state.
Now, Tom, I also saw, not in detail like you, exact where, this coming. Like I was told more than 3 years ago that we would have something that's pretty much stops the whole world,
Mhm.
and that the previous things prepared us for this moment coming soon, right?
Right.
Um, and I really, and one of the things they showed me was that when we shut down for the pandemic, that it prepared us for what's coming. So some of the things we had to do, and one of the main things, people learned to work remotely.
Yep.
So before it would be so impossible to move because you would lose your job for sure. So now it's possible for people to move and retain their job. So there is grace, there is a divine plan. You got to hold on to that?
Yeah. Yep. So, in the past, now in that book, that volume one of Conversations with Gaia, I mentioned five options. One of the options was just not do anything, wait till January, February, March, and if something's happening, then you got to do something quick. Or you can start looking a little farther ahead and try and figure out, well, do I have money to invest in a down payment on a house in another area? And if nothing happens, you can rent it out and sell it in a couple of years and
Yeah.
probably double your down payment. So there are things that if the markers don't happen, then uh, then you've got positive things that can happen because you at least uh, you know tried to do something, and that's including even flying to a place like Dallas Fort Worth, or driving, whatever you want to do, and going and checking out all the travel trailers. I, I don't recommend the ones that have a um, that are motorized, but you may have to, and figure out the largest one that you can possibly buy used if you need to, um, and park it in a parking spot in the Dallas Fort Worth area, wherever you can find. They have these lots for people to store their travel trailers, and park it there because you don't want to take it back to the West Coast because it could, you know, it would, you might have to abandon it, uh, and if it gets really nasty.
Yeah, this is something. This is a lot for people to think about. So it sounds like the markers, because everything is subject to change according to the collective energy that we put into something. You're saying that the markers are November and December of 2025? The main markers,
Well, that's the first
the
markers.
first
Main
marker,
markers are the January, February, March, and then if you're
or
around,
things get really bad.
yeah.
After that, they get really
And,
bad after March? Is what
uh,
you're saying?
well, remember I said April, Gaia says the door is closing, meaning, yeah, they're there's more of these 6 and 6.5s, but the 7, 8s, and 9s don't come until May and June.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So don't wait too long. You may really regret waiting and saying, "Oh, well, I'll see what's happening." And yeah, yeah. But of
It's very hard for people to think about moving. I want to move
course,
myself just because I'm in a big house and I had a different career before the pandemic, and it's a
mm,
lot for me to handle. And I want to move, but and I don't have the main threat as it sounds like. I do see things hitting close to where I live, about 100 miles, things moving in 100 miles from the East Coast coming in toward me, like a beach would be nearby me.
yeah.
But
And we haven't mentioned the 3 foot rise in the ocean levels of the world, which that's going to affect the whole planet with a 3 foot rise. So you're going to see some islands disappear that are so flat that they're only like 1 or 2 feet above sea level, and uh, in some of my favorite islands in our international wholesale tour business, we were the second largest tour operator in the United States to the Cayman Islands. Loved that place. Went scuba diving every time I went down there, and they're going to have a really hard time because they're so low in the ocean that I don't know, how much will be left above the waterline.
yeah. Just uh just so everybody knows, I will link the Most Benevolent Prayer. He's got all these wonderful things on I'll have the whole collection of playlists of our collaborations at the end of this video, so you can listen to them. Multiple collaborations, not just on predictions, but we just did one on ETs.
Yeah. Want to talk a minute about investments, IRAs?
Oh,
Like,
very okay.
yeah. Um, so obviously, your, your investments typically are invested in companies that either might not be around or may be heavily damaged on the West Coast. And so the your IRAs will not be worth very much. Gaia recommends investing in gold and silver, which
Mm,
will skyrocket in price. Uh,
mm.
Even physically buying some little gold coins, things like that, and uh, to help you through.
Yeah, because I don't take up a lot of room, and they're physical, you know.
Well, I mean,
Trade them in.
you can obviously there's gold stocks as long as they're not connected with the West Coast or
Oh, there's stocks too, but but I would think you would recommend like actually getting physical coins, right?
yes, that's
Yeah,
what I said.
just to
Also,
be,
even buying physical coins when as much as you can,
yeah,
maybe convert some uh, some of your IRA money or whatever to investing in gold or coins. So that'll get you through.
what do you think about crypto? I bet people are thinking about that.
About what?
Crypto currency?
Well, the problem about that, a lot of these crypto farms, as they're called, are going to be destroyed,
Mm,
earthquakes. So I don't know what that's going to do. I haven't really got
to
that
that.
information.
Yeah, and you know what? Because Tom doesn't ask the questions himself. He answers the questions that you email to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
takes a while.
they've been even
Patient.
asking, you know, what about my place in Washington State, or what about my place in Oregon, or what about you know, I'm telling you, the whole North American West Coast will not be livable. And that means even if somebody is over the mountains in Washington State, it's still going to affect you. And we haven't even talked about the supervolcano, which, and I'm going to have a question in my next one because I haven't asked this before. Um, Someone sent me an email saying, well, how long will it be before Yellowstone erupts? Because I had been told previously that these earthquakes are going to open up vents in the Yellowstone cauldron, and there's going to be lots of lava that will flow in, and Yellowstone will uh, erupt. It'll be called a super volcano, okay? Super volcano. And it will have a kill radius of 250 miles in all directions uh, from Yellowstone. So anyone living in that area is in super danger. Uh,
Because of the fog, the smoke, is that why? 250 miles is quite a
that's
radius.
blast area.
Oh, the blast area? Is
Yes.
that the explosion is that intense?
Yeah.
250-mile radius?
Yeah, 250 miles. And then you've got
Yeah.
the ash clouds that from the volcano that will mostly travel in an easterly direction over the lower Canada, about 30 or 40 miles north of the boundary with the United States, and like 50 miles or 100 miles down in the United States, and that ash cloud will go all the way over to as far as Chicago, where the lakes will, it, you know, the leftover of the dust cloud will empty into the Great Lakes. So those states will become unlivable, period. They're going to be covered in an ash cloud, and they will not see the sun for who knows, year, 2 years or more, and it'll turn into a mini ice age because the snow that falls in the winter will not melt. So
And
you've
this really
got to
affects
move.
the food supply, I imagine, as well, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's a large area for a very long time.
yeah, very long time.
And
Sometimes.
we're going through some issues with trade partners due to the tariffs. So it really
Yeah,
will affect us in the United States quite a bit.
yeah.
It's all going to kind of hit around, like a similar time period. Because right now, we didn't really get hit with the tariffs till August, and people are just
Mhm.
starting to realize, because I bought something and it was $29, and suddenly the same thing I wanted to reorder, it jumped up to 69.
Oh, well, well. So, so anyway, the question I am going to try and ask this
It,
coming Saturday will be, what is the length of time between the earthquakes that start on the West Coast and Yellowstone erupting? Will it be 1 week, 2 weeks, a month? Don't know yet. Gotta ask that question.
but right now, it's in perhaps the first half of 2026 with Yellowstone. Is that what you've
No,
got?
no, no,
No,
no.
you're not
No,
sure.
it will only occur after the major earthquakes,
The major,
May and
major.
the May and June.
Yeah, so from summer to on.
Yeah,
Wow. So that's kind of like
and
it
you know,
sounds like the
the-
grand finale. Like it does. So let me ask you, Tom, do you see after Yellowstone, have you gotten anything major after Yellowstone? It sounds like it's all really happening within a several month time period, most of this. And then could we just go and breathe? And no,
well, keep in mind Yellowstone. Gaia just last week said compare Yellowstone to the Kilauea volcano that continues to erupt. That's what that's what's going to happen with Yellowstone.
no. But as far as anything else major, it seems like most of it is there, what you've talked about. Do you, I mean, it also, everything depends on the questions you're asked,
Yep.
what people write in, but what else do you see for 2026? After, like, you have Yellowstone, we have up near Canada, Northeast, which, is going to affect me to some degree. I wonder how much that affects Philadelphia area.
Only the ocean rise won't affect you other than that.
Yes. I saw the ocean rise, and like parts of Philadelphia are below sea level, which is crazy downtown. So when we've had like we have parts of Philadelphia are 20 feet below sea level, which is crazy.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy? Like near the river. So when the river floods, it's the roads are washed out, things
Mhm.
like that. There's no roads whatsoever. It's happened in the past. But I wonder, like, that's 3 foot sea rise. Is that permanent or does that
Permanent.
permanent? It's not a thing that happens and then recedes at all. It's it.
And the oceans haven't risen that dramatically since the last time was 7,500 years ago when the Lemurians destroyed themselves and their continent, which was 10% larger than today's Australia,
Yeah.
and all the oceans of the world rose 172 feet. So luckily, we're not in that category.
Yeah. Thank God, right? Thank God, because that
But
was
still, 3 feet, look at New York, what a 3 foot drop.
I have been told about New York. I have been shown visions. I used to live in New York, and my guides were on me for at least a year, showing me the future of New York. It would still exist,
Mhm.
but it would be underwater. It would be like Venice in a way. I mean, it would be crazy. Crazy. People would still be there, but they got me to move out, and then I could stop having those visions
Mm.
because that I just kept having it. Like they're like telling me, don't settle down there, don't make your life there. It's going to be hard to leave when things come, you
Yeah.
know?
So keep in mind, you can't say, I request a most benevolent outcome for the perfect place for me to live, and you'll be guided. You can also say, I request a most benevolent outcome for the safety of myself and my family. Um, and I always say thank you. Now, when I first started out with my MBO requests, uh, I didn't say thank you, but because they're so powerful and they work so wonderfully, even the mundane stuff and then even the big stuff, I got to the point where I'd say thank you every time, and I think you will too. Might as well throw in thank you at the end. Now, keep in mind, um, these don't sound like prayers. I mean, nobody, you don't say amen at the end, or, uh, you can if you want to. Um, Although I have opinions about the, I was told that the um, Jewish slaves in Egypt, they had, of course, virtually no education. They were slaves. And and of course here was Moses telling them, hey, there's only one God. And they said, well, sure, but we're not going to take a chance. And so because a mini boat trip there, I'm sorry, you'd have to go back in Egyptian um, history, but there were two Amen uh,
Oh, the gods.
gods, and
Yes.
these were real people. These were like pharaohs,
Yes. There.
and
Yeah.
so they would put Amen at the end uh, to honor
Oh,
these gods, just in case.
case. Oh my God. I
Even
didn't know
though
that.
Moses says there's only one, I'm not taking a chance. I'm going to throw in Amen. So
Oh my
that's how
goodness.
that came about, and it has lasted all the way
Thousands.
2,000,
Thousands.
more than 2,000 years to this day. People still say Amen.
Absolutely. So,
So you're honoring an Egyptian god.
oh my gosh. So is there anything else you want to share with us, Tom, today?
Oh, you know, do check out not only the Gaia book, but even the General Way books. I was voted best self-help author for 3 years in a row for the General Way series, and that's because it works with any religion and it works perfectly. And once you get into uh, to trying this out, even on the little mundane requests like a parking spot or a seat on the subway or whatever, um, you'll find this just works so great. It's you'll start doing it full time once you remember uh, to try them out.
It's absolutely, I can attest to that. When I don't usually want to pray for myself. And then when I have, it's because of dire situations.
Mhm.
And I've already have experience with the parking spots and the others with my guides and also, but for the big things, I was surprised how things turned around for me and also with people in relation to me, how saying this really things that seemed impossible, you know?
Yep.
But you have to believe, because belief is a big part, and saying it out loud and thankfulness
Yeah.
means you believe.
Well, it helps if you if you do have a belief. If you wish to call Creator God, that's fine. It's just
Uh,
I feel that God doesn't do Creator justice because here is a being that has created a universe with trillions of galaxies, and every single one of these trillions of galaxies, I'm told, are different from all the others. That's amazing. Just
Trillions of them.
trillions, and every single one are different.
Think
Now,
of all the
yeah,
beings on there. Think of all the different types of beings that could be on some of these
of
places.
course, yeah, and and there's billions of beings and trillions of beings all across the universe living on planets, and we're going to get to know uh, a number of them, coming up in the future. We're supposed to start traveling to the stars. We're supposed to learn how to portal hop, as it's called, in around 3250. And I know in the 3400 era, my next life on Earth will be in that era, and I'll be a female space pilot of one of 17 Earth starships. So even at that time, they're building them. It sounds like mad to go out and explore the stars.
So we had last time we spoke, we talked about the ETs. I just released that video today. Sorry, it sometimes takes a while. And I'm wondering, Tom, if with everything happening to our planet in 2026, do you think that some of these ETs will help us recover? Do you see any of that?
Um, they're supposed to kind of stay away from
Mhm.
help. We're supposed to be the ones learning how to do this and coming up with ideas that, as the ETs say, have never been thought of before by anybody. I've had, I'm told I've had over 100,000 lives on Nomo, a water planet in the Sirius B star system, but we're veiled from accessing those lives because otherwise we'd say, well, this problem came up in the 20th uh, uh, life I had before, and this is the way I solved it. And so they do it the same way. And Creator says, I know that people are, the humans are going to come up with new ways to solve things that have never been thought of before because they're going to be veiled. And that's one of the reasons why we're veiled is to create new ways of doing things.
Mm. So can you give us besides that, is there any words of hope for anybody? Because I know some people hear this and they don't hear everything. They're just thinking, "Oh my God, I live here, I live here, I live here. How am I going to do it?"
Hmm.
Um, and I know you're dealing with this too, because you have priceless things stored in a place that you know is going to be hid in the vaults or whatever. There's some of your information,
Yeah.
and it is the reality of trying to deal with all this humanly,
Hmm.
as a human, like getting it done. And you know, and Tom, you also work a full-time job. This is not your job as an author. It's one of the many hats you wear. People don't realize you're a very busy man, as well. So you understand how hard it is to get it all done.
Sure. Because I'm in a similar situation. You know, what's going to happen to my business, you know, after 2026? Do I try and sell it
Yeah.
soon or what?
Can you tell our viewers what your business is? To
Um,
don't know?
yeah, my family and I are in an international film and TV program distribution business. We have a lot of product that's on streamings channels in the United States. Um, that we have this large library of classic movies and TV series, and we try and put them out as fast as we can. But when you work with old films and all, it sometimes takes quite a bit of work uh, to get them ready where they can be shown on TV. Back in the days of VHS and then DVD, you could put almost anything out and people would watch, but can't do that these days. They have these very high standards. So that's uh, what we do. And then, of course, there's coming up my family and I, keeping in mind that I have executive produced and one of the executive producers, okay, uh, several extremely low budget movies. So I've gotten some work in that area, and uh, and so my family and I are going to be traveling to the Syrian mothership that my buddy Antura is on, and we're going to shoot for 14 days, probably 12 or 14 hours a day. We're going to have the full, uh, we'll be free to wander anywhere in the ship we wish to. And of course, they won't be wandering. We'll be escorted to say, hey, here's this. You don't want to miss that. And
I'm looking forward to that, Tom.
yeah,
Definitely see that.
and and so we'll shoot for 14 days, and those will be turned into one and possibly two theatrical uh, length uh, documentaries for the
Yeah.
theaters and
Wow.
a 100 episode TV series.
Wow.
I say that because uh, keeping in mind uh, there are 12 timeline Earths, and and on the upper timelines above us, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. Um, they've already visited the ship. They've already done that, and so I'll even be given a list of exactly uh, what cameras and everything that we have to rent in order to do the job.
Amazing. It's going to be exciting. So, I've heard you speak of this before. I'm excited for when it does happen. I
Yeah.
have to go do an emergency personal reading. Someone booked me last night and they need me to do a psychic reading for them. So I do want to make sure everyone, if you like having Tom as my guest, please hit the like button to show your support, subscribe, and I am definitely having Tom back on for more 2026. And there's one more book we haven't covered for all the animal lovers.
Ah, yeah. And be sure to say, I request most benevolent outcome to receive these messages perfectly before you do your reading.
That's a great idea, Tom.
I always do
Really
that.
want to help her. I
I
really
always do
want to
that
help.
before my Saturday morning sessions. When I'm going down, I always say that.
I
Theo,
re
I request a most benevolent outcome to receive these messages and answers to my questions perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you. That's I'm definitely doing that. I request a most benevolent outcome to
It'll raise you
receive.
to another level, I guarantee you.
Oh, I'll let you know. All right. So thank you everybody for joining Tom today. And check out the other videos we did in the playlist under collaborations at the end of this video, and check out the description box for more information about Tom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Been
Bye,
great.
bye bye, everybody.